message out on this and why it should be made.
And then a similar question was asked in mid-July of last summer with regard to Senate Bill 5. It's going to be an off year. Are there going to be enough resources? We're going to be able to turn people out. John Casey and the Republicans control every statewide office in Ohio. It seems like the Republicans really have their backs up against the wall. I said then what I say now. This was never about Republicans versus Democrats. It was never about Chris Redfern versus Kevin DeWine. It was never about Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney as it relates to Senate Bill 5. It's about right versus wrong. We are merely voices for those of us who believe that the middle class and working families deserve the ability to collectively bargain. We gathered the resources necessary, and we won because of it. But I think we all recognize that we invested a huge amount of resources, both literal and figurative, both on the ground and financial. But we won by 22 points. I think if we'd have spent half that, we probably still would have won by 20 points. We probably shaved off 2 points.
Do you think you're going to spend half of that, though, to...
We're well prepared to spend what is necessary to win. Well prepared. Well prepared. I keep saying it. At some point, the editorial boards of the Dispatch and Plain Dealer will believe it. We are well prepared.
Considering the failure of the super committee, how are you addressing kind of just discussed with Congress, with your members?
Well, the super committee, obviously, Rob Portman, Ohio's own, sat on it and voted no on a solution, a bipartisan solution, because he was married to Grover Norquist and this idea that you have to cut taxes for the wealthiest among us, and somehow it's going to trickle down and make everything better in places like Defiance. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It didn't work for the 8 years of George Bush. We know this, and that's why Democrats stood together on behalf of the middle class. Ironically, the sequestration of this particular super committee means that the cuts that are prescribed now must occur will allow President Obama to do more in reducing the deficit than any previous president, if you look at a percentage of the deficit, or a real dollar of the deficit, rather, than any previous president. So I think the objectives and goals of reducing the deficit will be achieved. It's a shame the super committee and the Republicans on it didn't want to take part.
Chris, you mentioned that there were some talks ongoing about putting an issue on the ballot to revamp how maps are drawn. Can you talk a little bit more about who are you talking to?
Well, the League of Women Voters, I don't think it's any secret, have been interested in this issue for a long, long time, and I've spoken to the League of Women Voters. Laura, you probably know a couple of the groups, and forgive me, they Citizen Action. I've also spoken to Catherine about this. You know, we don't want to have redundant opportunities, or opportunities be dealt with redundantly. The opportunity being putting something on the ballot. If there's 4 or 5 different ideas placed on the ballot, then you're in the situation same as 2005, the Reform Ohio now, when you had 2 or 3, and it all went down. It's very cumbersome and confusing for the voters. So if there's an opportunity to place something on the ballot, the party will look at it, consider it, and hopefully support it. And that will fundamentally change the way we gerrymander districts right now. And I also, if I may, the last time I hate it. I don't hate it. I brush it aside. I dismiss the criticism from Joe and from others, not you, Joe, the other Joe, who have suggested, well, if the Democrats controlled the process, we'd have just done the same thing. You know, I was 15 in 1981. At some point, y'all got to stop blaming the Democrats for what may or may not have occurred in 1981. I was not here. It was the last time the Democrats controlled, as I recall. I could be wrong. I was 15. I wasn't registered to vote. I was more worried whether the Oakland A's going to make it to the World Series. We ought not get in this habit and just suggest what it seems so you know, it's just lazy to suggest that Democrats would have behaved the same way. There's no evidence, contemporarily speaking, that would suggest that we would have operated the same way. It's frustrating though. 15. I was 15. Soft spot.